Last week, we watched The Least Worst of the Radio F Show, which was a presentation of about a couple dozen, 3 to 4 minute episodes of a web series I made in a time before YouTube. And then I also talked a little bit about RFSHQ, the website, where it came from, my histories, writing comedy and things like that. So now we're going to I wanted to read the Adventures of Bayou Billy article and then play the game. So what I've decided to do is, rather than just have the Bayou Billy article, I don't have this too thick for a stapler, so I got one of those little, these are called binder clips, I think. I have here a collection of articles, The Least Worst of RFSHQ.com, 2004 to 2008. So I went through the complete archive I have of everything I wrote between these 4 years, and I would like to share with you guys some of my better writing, my better takes from the site. Not everything was really, top shelf. I used to write little brief snippets and kind of ping pong ideas and see what worked and what didn't work. And, much like Gatorbox, we had guest contributors. Some of my friends that worked on the Radio F show with also wrote articles for the website. We had other people that made videos and animated, shit post GIFs and things like that. So there's just a little bit of everything. I think when all was said and done, I think I personally produced 70 to 75% of all the content that went on that website. And it's really weird because RFSHQ was only around between 2004 and 2008. It was only around for 4 years. But you extrapolate that, Gatorbox has been around 3 times as long as this website. But I don't know. I have a fondness for this old website. It was like my first online place I posted articles to. It was like an online portfolio of sorts. I tried to unsuccessfully use it to, segue myself into writing gigs elsewhere. During the history of RFSHQ, there were 2 openings on somethingawful.com for a columnist for the ROM Pit, which was the part of the website where people played shitty NES games and things like that and wrote scathing reviews about it. It was really long time, 20 years ago, right? During my stint at RFSHQ, 2 of those openings opened up, and I used articles from this website as an example of my writing talents, and I was not selected both times. I applied a 3rd time after RFSHQ with a new website, new portfolio. I still didn't get picked. Lotax didn't think I was funny enough. So this is just kind of a disorganized mess, but there's the Bayou Billy article. I would like to go through some of these stories. Some of these articles that I've written here are they actually are stories that I've told on Gatorbox, like the Skillfull and getting left at the movie theater. So I would like to start off with a retelling of 2 popular Gatorbox stories that I've told here in years gone by. These are the articles that I wrote initially for RFSHQ, where I retold those stories for the first time. And here's the language I used. From November 27th, 2005. This article is titled Baby's Day Out. This is the one where I got left at the movie theater, at the daycare center, and the movie poster for Baby's Day Out, my friend pointed out. Alright. God, just looking at this opening sentence. It was about 9 years ago. Maybe more. This was in 2005, so now it's like 30. It had to be a while back, though, because my mom hadn't finished all of her college classes. My dad was working all day. I don't exactly know why my grandparents couldn't watch me. Maybe my grandma was sick. I don't remember. However, I do remember I spent a week in daycare after school for about 2 hours every day while my mother was at school. That was some kind of hell. The daycare center has long been dead since those days. Good riddance. A skate park now occupies the room where I once saw a kid try to skateboard on a large fire truck toy only to eat tile instead. Someone is probably rollerblading on the same place where I hid under a wooden deck playing with remote-controlled cars. Also, as an addendum, that skate park that was built where this daycare used to be has since itself been demolished. There's nothing there now, it's just an overgrown lot. However, the thing I will most remember Kids Castle Daycare Center for, that's the name of it, is for the time we all crowded into the 2 blue Chevrolet vans to go see Oliver and Company at the local, also now dead, cinema. Cinema 35 it was called, and it had one whole screen. They hauled us to the movies in its one-screen glory to see an animated movie whose advertising song was that goddamn Walking on Sunshine track, if I remember it correctly. Out of the 20-some-odd kids that were taken there, I only knew one of them. He wasn't a close friend of mine, just someone I knew. His name was Waylon. I haven't seen him in forever either. Now that I think of it, he was a pretty swell guy. The ride over was hell. The movie theater was about 5 miles from the daycare, and there were 10 kids in either Chevy van. It was like it was like the Holocaust, just instead of taking us to the gas chamber, they took us to Oliver and Company, which is pretty much the same thing, so I'll just run with the Holocaust. I don't even remember the movie. I just remember using the $1 my mom gave me to buy some candy and dicking around with Waylon the whole time. We had a special VIP section, which was really just the middle 3 rows of seats sectioned off with masking tape. Still, being able to go into an area marked reserved is cool nonetheless. It's like sitting down and announcing to everyone, yeah, this is my spot, bitch. The movie ended, and we all stood up to leave. Well, Waylon had to use the bathroom, so I stuck around and waited on him. We went out into the lobby to catch up with the group of kids, and what do you know? A group of 18 kids and 2 fat women is nowhere to be seen. Waylon didn't seem to notice. He was reading the coming soon poster for the movie Baby's Day Out and seemed over-fucking-joyed about it. He would not shut up about Baby's Day Out. I was about 6 years old and alone with Waylon, who didn't know they left without doing a head count. I told him, and he almost shit his pants. Good thing he was just in the bathroom. We got the bright idea to see if they really did leave because, maybe they're all in the bathroom right now and we just missed them on the way out. The 2 blue vans were missing. They fucking left without us. I don't remember the time. I just remember telling the cinema manager the stupid daycare left us behind. The manager said we could go watch the next showing of Oliver and Company while he called the daycare to tell them 2 kids were left behind. It took them the duration of half the goddamn movie to get their asses back to the movie theater. This one's for you, Kids Castle, and the fat cunts who ran it. Fuck you. I don't think I used as colorful of language when this article, when I told this story on Gatorbox, but back in 2005, it was like it had barely been a decade since it happened back in 2005. It was still like... it was still kind of fresh in my memory, I guess. I don't know. I think it's probably been about a decade since I told the story on Gatorbox, too. But is that okay? This next one is also a story I've told on Gatorbox. I'm pretty sure it's on the YouTube channel. This one, from September 5th, 2006, is called The Skillfull. Now, I know I told this story when we were playing the Power Player Superjoy bootleg system, because that's what it was. I love classic video games. They remind us all of a time when you had a D-pad and 2, or maybe 3 or 4 buttons to use, and you'd better quit your crying and make something with it. It was when we all got our favorites, like Mario and Sonic, and all those other mascots that faded into obscurity as soon as they emerged. It was a vicious time. Game series were like movies. The first would rock the market, and the sequel would suck so bad that the series would end. Today we're up to what? Final Fantasy 47,000 and a half? You're running out of money, but can we keep this up for another 20 years? Pokemon Burnt Orange with green stripes? Super Mario Extreme Snowboarding? And Sonic the Hedgehog now with more worthless characters? This was 2006, man. Predicting the future. I'm not here to make fun of today's games. I'm here to ask you only one question. Do you have the Skillfull? I found myself at the receiving end of that question while I was looking for stuff to buy at a local trade center. One of the shops I came across was selling those pirated 5,000 games in one systems, which is really like 4,990 Mario Brothers games in like 10 other shitty ones. I had time to waste, so I decided to fool around with the ones they had on display. Lots of different models were here. They sodomized all sorts of controllers with NES games. They were Frankenstein Nintendo 64 controllers, Genesis controllers, and even Dreamcast parts. Who the hell even plays that anymore? This was 2006, so the death of the Dreamcast was pretty recent. I was enjoying a few rounds of Super Mario Brothers, since that's the only game on there, when the shopkeeper came up to me and asked if I liked what I saw. I was honest with him. I told him they were pretty cool, but my little brother already owned one, and I was just having fun. He was a nice old guy. He didn't know much about what he was selling, since he often spelled games wrong on his advertisement flyers, but he's just trying to make a buck. Or 35 bucks. Whichever. He asked what I was playing, and I said, Mario. He asked if I knew about the cheat button. Do we still have that emote live? Do we have the cheat button emote? Oh, there it is. There it is. There's the cheat button. The cheat button? I asked. He walked outside of the booth, and I handed him the controller. Oh, fucking God. I fucking typed this in a Mexican accent. Yeah, man, the cheat button. Here, watch. Pardon the errors as I type in a racist Mexican accent. He pressed some of the extra buttons on the controller and went from world 1-1 to 2-1, then 3-1, then 4-1, all the way to 8-1, and he stopped. Then he dared to press it again, and something completely unexpected happened. World 9-1. I'm sure he's done this before, but it seemed like a complete mindfuck to him. You can only get these levels if you have the Skillfull, he said. Do you have the Skillfull? I knew 9-1 didn't exist, and its scrambled appearance just kind of cemented that thought, but I didn't know about the cheat, so obviously I did not have the Skillfull. I replied, I didn't know about these, so I guess I don't have it. He seemed real energetic and said, well, hey, man, go and try it out. But, hey, man, check it out. When you keep pressing cheat button, it goes to letter worlds, man. Press it until it goes to O world. I complied and went to world 01 and was greeted with the black water level with randomized coins. He was playing it and said, see, man, these are the levels that Nintendo didn't want you to see. You can only get here with the Skillfull and cheat buttons. I watched him play the level, and after he passed up about 20 random coins, the level was just empty. So I asked what was up, since I don't think he knew that the game was just calling for random information that didn't exist. I don't think he had the Skillfull to understand that concept, so I didn't mention it. Where's the level? I asked. He paused the game and said, after the coins, they're invisible walls, man. I play so much, though, I know where all the walls at. Completely plausible. Unfortunately, I was getting hungry, and I was actually supposed to have been on my way home, so I had to cut this brilliant conversation /experience short. But rest assured, if you have the Skillfull, then you damn well better beat the levels that Nintendo didn't want you to see. I forgot about the part where he talked about the invisible walls. I don't think I mentioned that in the Gatorbox video. I wrote this article 18 years ago. This had to have been pretty recently when it happened, because in 2006 I was going to A&M, and between time, I think I said I was going home or something, but when I needed to waste like a bunch of time between classes, right? Because when you start picking classes for college, you'll have a class at like 8:30 in the morning, and then like the next one won't be until like 4 in the afternoon, so you have like 5 hours to kill. So I just went to the trade center to go fuck around and get lunch and just look at shit, and that's where I saw this guy selling stuff. All right. Here's a story that I don't think I've told on Gatorbox. I think I've alluded to it, but I'm like 90% certain I've never actually told this story. And it is, to the best of my ability, 100% true. And, it's the story about the time I killed the Six Flags mascot. I think I mentioned this story when we played the Six Flags Fun Park game for the Wii, but I don't think it's its own separate video on the channel. From September 29th, 2006, this article is called, I Killed Mr. Six. The date is sometime in May 2005, so a year ago. I woke up, browsed some websites, and saw there was a former member of the Ku Klux Klan who had recently been arrested, Edgar Killeen. The convicted person depicted in the image looked all too familiar for me, though. The Six Flags guy? I said to myself, I love that mascot. He was so out of place and energetic. You hated him and loved him at the same time. The day this happened, unfortunately, fell into the time period when I played around on the popular YTMND website, and within seconds I had already thrown together an incredibly stupid page pointing out the extreme similarities between Mr. Six and Edward Killeen. I thought it was a stupid joke. I thought differently when a friend later sent me a link to my own YTMND and said it was, quote, the funniest shit ever, and that I had to see it. I told him I made it, and to check the author box. Sure enough, yes, it was in fact me. I was informed that the YTMND had spread like crazy, and a Google search of sixflagskk.ytmnd.com yielded many, many results. In 1 week, the page skyrocketed to the 31st most viewed YTMND of all time, just one rank short of being on the first page of top viewed YTMNDs. People had begun to make parodies of the work too, such as the site 68bit.ytmnd.com, an 8-bit remix of the original. It was fun to see my work being spread around like that. True internet ad nausea. My friends and I all joked about it until the owner of YTMND got the letter. The letter was a name given to the cease and desist sent out by the Six Flags Company demanding all YTMNDs featuring their mascot be removed immediately. Unfortunately, YTMND complied, and the original version of my site is no more. I re-registered the domain so no one would snipe it and replaced it with a futile ad for my website, hoping what was left of the popularity would drive visitors here. Later that year, shortly after the YTMND had run its course, Mr. Six was retired from the main Six Flags ad campaign. I had unknowingly put a bullet in the head of my favorite mascot. My stupid joke killed Mr. Six. In all honesty, I wasn't trying to harm anybody. It was a dumb joke. Maybe it was a little too popular of a joke, but a dumb one, nonetheless. Maybe Mr. Six was already on his way out, but this sudden spike in attention didn't really seem to help his case. I'm not proud for what I did. The internet is a mean place. It's a true story. That I don't think the YTM. I later actually once the heat died down, I later restored the website on YTMND, but I think it's been I think a long time ago my account was deleted for inactivity, so the page is gone again. But basically what I had done was the thing I did was I took a picture of the guy from the news, from the KKK, and a picture of Mr. Six, and drew a little arrow and a little frowny face, and I said, how could you? Little sad face. And then, the YTMND, the background audio, the sound clip that played was the song from the commercials, We Like to Party. And it really did spread like wildfire. Like all those college humor, link aggregate websites were posting links to it. It did get 31st most viewed of all time. It was one rank behind the Captain Jean-Luc Picard song. If you remember Picard's, I think that might still, is that still there? Can I go there? It's Picard's song, .ytm, is the site even still there? Holy shit! Yeah, that still loads. That is exactly how I remember it. That was the 30th most viewed. It's just a picture of fucking what's his face? What's the actor? I genuinely forgot the name of the guy who plays Picard on Star Trek. It's a picture of him, and it just plays that song. That's all it is. That was the 30th most at the time. I don't know what it is now. That was the 30th most viewed YTMND of all time. I was one click below that. Yeah. Patrick Stewart. Thank you. Thank you. I was about to say Patrick Bateman, but I think that's the guy from American Psycho. So the Picard song was like a legendarily famous YTMND. And the thing I made was the next one down on the list. So, to put that into perspective, how viral that YTMND I made was, it was the next thing below one of the most recognizable ones that's ever been posted to the website. So, you vaguely recall seeing it somewhere a few years back. It's been a while. If I can find it, I'll make a recreation in this video, but, Mr. Six, they did retire Mr. Six, like, immediately following the shitstorm. They later brought him back. You know, like, he started doing commercials where it was, like, people fucking around in a sprinkler in their lawn. And he's like, things appear, the flagometer. He's like, 2 flags. And then it cuts to those same people riding a roller coaster doing a loop. And he's like, 6 flags! More flags! More fun! They brought him back for commercials with the same song, so it all blew over. Mr. Six came back, you know, I only killed him temporarily, and I think he's dead again, so, you know, whatever. But at the time, in 2006, he was most certainly dead. It's also worth noting that the guy who owned, I think his name is, his screen name is Max Goldberg. The guy who owned YTMND was notoriously dismissive of cease and desist letters that he was sent. This one was the second one he acknowledged in the history of the website. The only other cease and desist that he was compelled to obey was the one for Snape kills Dumbledore, the Harry Potter spoiler. This fucking went everywhere when this happened. Like, this dude only listened to 2 cease and desists. He got a lot of them. And it was the Harry Potter one and the Six Flags one. So, it was a big deal. It was a big deal. And I was at the center of it, just watching it. So, here's there was a theme of articles we did on RFSHQ that was called The Blank Challenge. You know, we did it for a lot of things. I don't have them all printed out here. I just picked one of them. I think we did one for the... Yeah, we did one for the Harry Potter... the original Harry Potter... no, they're called Bean Boozled now. The Jelly Bellies with the gross flavors, they're called Bean Boozled now. But when they first made them, they were the Bernie Bott's Every Flavor Jelly Bean with the Harry Potter tie-in. So I did an article with those first ones when they first came out, talking about all the gross flavors, and then we did the 5-pack Jones Soda Thanksgiving flavors where you had like cranberry sauce, which was good. And then you had pumpkin pie, which kind of tasted like burnt sugar. Then you had wild herb stuffing, which to me, if I remember correctly, tasted like black pepper. Then you had Brussels sprouts, which smelled and tasted like death. We did a video for that one, but it was too long for the least worst of the Radio F show. But anyways, we did this thing called the Challenge. One of the first ones we did was called the White Overnite Challenge, which is a tooth whitening cleaning thing. whatever. It's a do-it-yourself thing. You know, like the thing you're supposed to get done by a professional. This is just some shit you get off the internet. So from April, I think this was meant to be an April Fool's article, but it came up a day late because this was posted April 2nd, 2006. The White Overnite Challenge. I should also point out there were pictures in these articles, but I'm just reading them. If I find the backups, I'll edit them over there when I, you know, the right point. So, I guess now that I'm a total internet celebrity, I should at least look like one, right? So, what's one thing all celebrities have? That's right, really white teeth. To be a celebrity, I need to look like one. So, I need whiter teeth. But where am I getting those without paying my dentist $2,000 and my left nut? Let's leave it for the goddess of serendipity to decide. A relative of mine got a free product sample of White Overnite, which, if you haven't guessed by now, is a teeth whitening agent that works overnight. Night is spelled N-I-T-E because it's fancy, like Nick at Night. As luck would have it, she didn't plan on using the kit, so I politely asked if I could have it. White Overnite consists of a syringe filled with dental professional strength teeth whitening gel that is 35% carbamide peroxide. That's made in the USA. This is great because if I'm going to put something that resembles hair gel into my mouth, I want it to come from the motherland. With the syringe is a 2-piece mouthpiece set made of rubber to put the gel into and then shove into your mouth. How hard can this be? Let's get started. This is me. Actually, this is the old me before the transformation. We need a before and after picture just like TV commercials have, so there's not much to see here unless you're a personal fan of my face. This is the contents of the clear unlabeled package I was given. 1 syringe full of carbamide peroxide and a mouthpiece so I can go boxing while making my teeth bright fucking white. This is my kind of product. A manly man product. I absolutely couldn't wait. I could feel the whiteness firing out of the syringe already. Dick joke not intended, but pointed out. I ran into the bathroom and filled up the mouthpiece with the 3 milliliters of the mysterious and magical gel that would make me hot and sexy. When I was done, it kind of looked like somebody with the vasectomy busted one in a sports mouthpiece that was destined for my mouth. But I had to push forward for the sake of good looks. Holy shit, that's a great line. That's a great fucking line right there, man. 18 years ago I wrote that one. I eagerly started to fit the pieces into my mouth, which proved to be difficult. You see, the mass-produced mouthpieces are kind of pointy, and your mouth, hopefully, is a very soft place. Pointy things and soft things do not really go together. Dick joke not intended, but pointed out. But I had to tough it out. Come on, I'm RF fucking S. About to be RF fucking S with whiter teeth. Now that's a title to be proud of. After I had settled everything down, things got bad. My mouth was instantly assaulted with the taste of plastic and lime. It was almost unbearable. The 35% carbamide peroxide was doing a fucking Mexican hat dance on my tongue, and the rubber mouthpieces were making it hard for me to scrape the goo from it. I thought I was going to die, but then there were more problems. No more than 30 seconds after application, I felt an overwhelming stinging sensation shoot across my gums where my teeth met the flesh. I thought my teeth were going to sprout arms and legs and forcefully exit my jaw and kick me in the balls for doing this to them. But alas, my testicles were in no immediate danger. It seems the danger had now moved to my mouth area where my tongue was doing somersaults and my teeth were frolicking in poison ivy. Unable to really swallow anything with a mouthful of whitening crap and rubber, I began drooling more than a special education room. I helplessly wiped string upon string of messy saliva and carbamide from my mouth as I watched reruns of Mythbusters on TV. I think it's about time they do a test on fucking teeth whiteners because this particular experiment that was going on in my mouth was beginning to piss me off. However, things began to go incredibly wrong. The stinging sensation that was going on didn't cease. It got worse. I contemplated just ignoring it and to quit being a pussy about it, but when I went into the bathroom to actually look at my teeth and gums, they were starting to turn red, along with my tongue, which actually felt more numb than anything. I aborted the experiment for the sake of the well-being of my teeth, since they were beginning to hurt instead of sting. So I had the stuff in my mouth for about 3 hours. Not quite overnight, but if I toughed it out to the suggested 8 hours, I might not have any teeth at all. So after I rinsed all the mess and bad taste out of my mouth, I looked in the mirror to see the results after only 3 hours. No results that can easily be seen from this picture. However, the crevices between a few of my front teeth were pretty white. So really, all I managed to do was enhance the outlines of my teeth to make me look like a total dumbass whenever I talk or smile. I blame the manufacturers of White Overnite because that shit doesn't work at all. Results. Looks. In reality, it looks simple enough to do. The whitening agent looked like clear toothpaste, and it looked like the mouthpieces would fit. Looks can be deceiving, though. 7 out of 10. Ease. Once I got over how easy it looked to do, then came the hard part of trying to get it to stay on my teeth without the edges of the mouthpieces stabbing me in the gums. On top of that, once the taste kicked in, it was found to be very hard to not want to throw up. 1 out of 10. Taste. Words cannot describe the pain that was incurred by this muck. Negative 10 out of 10. Effectiveness. I was unable to complete the full time suggested for the treatment, so I could not be certain exactly how effective it would have been. It did whiten some portions of my teeth, so at least I know it kind of works. 5 out of 10. Overall, unless you want to make a mess of your taste buds and teeth, do not go near this shit. What started out as a simple joke for this site could have ended up with long-term dental damage or something. Not cool. 0 out of 10 points. The White Overnite Challenge, ladies and gentlemen. We did a lot of those challenges. We had... What are the other ones we have here? We had a lot of energy drink ones. I'll save those for another day. I did an article about energy drinks where I drank them and reviewed them, and that kind of went viral. So I bought 9 drinks, 3 and 3 for the articles, and then I bought more to do a 4th article, and then for a later outlet I wrote for, I did a 5th article in the spirit of those. But that's a lot of the same things, so we'll read those another day. But let's move on to an article titled "This is a review of a gaming peripheral." This is something called the Boom Adapter. Originally written and published on RFSHQ on May 13th, 2007, but an updated version I posted again to another outlet February 22nd, 2010, with some adjustments and corrections here. So it was written originally for RFSHQ, had life outside of it, and the version I have here is the updated version with pretty much the same thing. I should point out, I think I talk about it in this article, of course, but the Boom Adapter was a USB solution for being able to plug in a Nintendo 64 controller to your computer, like a USB adapter, so you could play Nintendo 64 ROMs. And this was before the Xbox existed. Wait, this was 2007. No, the Xbox controller did exist, but I don't know if the drivers were there for it to connect to a computer or whatever. I don't know if it was built into Windows XP. Anyways, my job as a game columnist is to be able to play games, take screenshots or other footage of said games, and then blast the holy hell out of them. This is incredibly easy to do when it comes to using console emulators on a computer, and the first time I was made aware of them in middle school started a fire that'll likely burn for the rest of my life. Emulation is a godsend for those of us who want to play classic video games, but either A, cannot afford to spend $50 for The Legend of Zelda on eBay, or B, don't feel like blowing into a cartridge 10 times, or C, both A and B, except instead of Zelda, the game is Action 52. My answer choice is C. There is a certain threshold, however, wherein at some point, playing console games with a QWERTY keyboard becomes cumbersome and difficult, and the Nintendo 64 marked this point by featuring a controller with an analog stick, a D-pad, a trigger, 2 shoulder buttons, and 6 face buttons, all wrapped up in a design that required at least 3 hands to hold. Certain retailers online have been offering USB interfaces for use with authentic console controllers for years, but it was only at this particular time that I discovered I really needed one. After some shopping around that consisted of me looking for the absolute cheapest deal on eBay and nothing else, I found an adapter that would suit my needs perfectly. For reasons unknown, it is colloquially known as the Boom Adapter, and features support for not only a Nintendo 64 controller, but a PlayStation 1 as well. You know, for all those times I say, you know what makes Super Mario 64 better? Spyro the Dragon. I was floored because just prior to mashing the Buy It Now button, I had downloaded an entire Blockbuster video's worth of games to play, and I eagerly awaited my package. However, when the actual box arrived, I tore it open, only to stare into a portable version of hell itself. As I gazed into this abyss, it gazed back. If the suffering of mankind could be summarized in just one picture, and with a smattering of broken English for good measure, this was it. What had I gotten myself into? What exactly is going on with this box? Furthermore, why in the hell does it even include a floppy disk? Does anybody even use those anymore? Why all the colors? Why the Comic Sans font? Why? Why? Highly compatibility? Extra stable? The box provided more questions than answers, so I did the only rational thing I could think of. I flipped it over and read the back. In hindsight, I don't really know why I flipped the box over. I guess I was hoping the other side would say, haha, just kidding, and would have instructions in detail printed in perfect fucking English. But no. Just the same wacky show, except with even more graphics for added redundancy. You mean that this PSX plus N64 controller can actually use PSX and N64 controllers? It's like the people, or person most likely, that put this together has no understanding how either console works. I know of no Dance Dance Revolution pad that plugs into the Nintendo 64. Why bother explaining how you don't need a power source for this device? Why would you need one to begin with? It's an over-glorified plug converter, not a goddamn multi-port USB hub. You just plug it in. That's what plug and play actually means. There is no reason to complicate it, and there is absolutely no way that I believed the phrase plug and play when I saw it. Scanning the back of the box, I finally find the system requirements, and much to my dismay, it appears I have the completely wrong operating system for this thing. I don't have Windows 95. Not all hope is lost, though, because for what I don't have, Windows, I make up for by having about 48 USB ports, so the any USB port requirement is satisfied. If I can meet this adapter halfway, perhaps it can compromise 2 and only let me use one of the 2 adapter ports. Nintendo 64, please. Against my better judgment, I opened the box and pulled out the translucent blue adapter, and with it came a purple floppy disk, the kind you can buy in a 50-pack at Office Depot. The vendor I bought this from guaranteed this was indeed a plug-and-play device, so I plugged my controller into the adapter and plugged the adapter into my computer, and wait for it, nothing happened. There's a little diode and a switch on the side of the adapter, so maybe it just wasn't on the correct setting. I fooled with the switch and watched the little light go from red to green and back to red again as I turned it left to right. From what I collected, green means not working, and red means not working even more than green. I tried using another program to map the controller buttons to the keyboard, but it was no use. The adapter lay silent and deaf, much like the 14-year-old child labor who probably assembled it. Desperate for help, I went to the last available place I could think of to fix my problem, the dreaded purple floppy disk of death. Knowing full well if the adapter didn't work at all, there was a solid chance that putting this disk into my computer may actually send it back in time. Contained on the diskette was a worthless configuration file made for Windows 98 and a README file in Microsoft Word. I knew that opening the README was a dumb idea, but I did it anyway, just for the hell of it, if not for actual help by this point. Upon opening the file, I was greeted with painfully generic instructions, telling me that the adapter should have been recognized immediately, along with some other equally worthless tips that include, and I quote, but we strongly suggest you to download the Microsoft DirectX 8.1 and install this Microsoft driver. It's best solution for you. Your computer can automatic detect all the USB converter / USB joypad / USB steering wheel, etc. If you have installed the old DirectX before, you can use this DirectX uninstall software, DirectX Buster V 2.1 Beta 4, to uninstall your old version DirectX, then reinstall the newest version late. When you have installed the DirectX 8.1 already, but your Sony joypad is not working well, it's your Sony joypad compatible, cuz please replace another brand PS joypad to test it again. And finally, at the very bottom of the document, I find this. But for the N64 joypad, isn't all joypad can working steady, since the structure of N64 joypad is very complex, so we can't 100% guarantee your N64 joypad can 100% work. Even they admit the Nintendo 64 controller is fucking insane, and use it as a scapegoat for why their adapter is nothing more than a glorified drink coaster. Despite all of this, they were nice enough to end this document, quite ironically, with something that should have been emblazoned on the front of the fucking box. You have to think over it before you decide to buy this device. Well, gee, thanks a lot, you assholes. Before you advise me not to buy your product, I have to actually buy your product first. I could go on and on about how that kind of recursive loop could destroy the space-time continuum, but instead I think I'll just unplug this godforsaken adapter and fix a wobbly table with it. In the end, I got shafted out of a total of $15 for a piece of crap that I didn't want to pay a lot of money for. This fixed absolutely zero of my problems, so I decided to pony up the money and spent $35 on an Adaptoid. It's made in the USA, and wouldn't you know, the second I plugged in, my computer said, "Hey, you're doing something with that game controller, aren't you? Let me help you with that." My computer is so friendly. Fuck you, Boom Adapter. I think I actually have the... hang on, do I have it right here? The Adaptoid? From 20 years ago? It was plugged into my blue... I'm gonna move this real quick. Oh shit, look. Check this out. Look. There it is. Look at this. Adaptoid. There it is. Bought that 20 years ago. Works like a fucking charm. To this day, it's still recognized by Windows. It still works. It still works. Meanwhile, the Boom Adapter, I don't know what happened to it. I didn't get rid of it. I don't know what happened to it. Just So, about a month after the website launched, I wrote a review for a game that was growing in notoriety at the time. A little game called Action 52. This game has been featured on Gatorbox, both the NES and the Genesis version. When I wrote this, I did not know the Genesis version existed. From June 5th, 2004, 20 years ago almost, this is my review of Action 52 for the NES. For years, scientists have wondered where the universe originated. For years, I've wondered why the NES eventually died off. Now I know why. Action 52 and its crap-tastical crap is the reason why Nintendo tipped their hats and said, well, and stopped production and support for the system. Action 52 is the pinnacle of crap. This game should rightfully be renamed Action Crap. In fact, the game is devoid of any action whatsoever, so because of this, I vote that we simply just rename it Crap. What's sad is that developer Active Enterprises made this abysmal thing in 1991 and tried to sell it for the wallet-sucking price of $200. I would rather take two $100 bills, roll them up, put them in my nose, and set them on fire than spend the money on this game. Who would want to spend $200 on a piece of crap? Crap doesn't go in an NES. What's funny here is you can tell by simply looking at the game that Active Enterprises was dead serious in trying to make a truly awesome game filled with action. In this case, action is simply another adjective that is slapped on a multi-cart to make them appear good. There are various ways to see how determined the programmers were in making something good. The title screen music is one example. It's so cheap, it's hilarious. Then there's a link. This is printed, so I can't click it. But it says, listen and be amazed at the wonder that is Action 52's theme song. Be careful, the effects will blow your fucking brains out. You have a great selection of games with descriptive titles, including Sharks, Silver Sword, Fire Breather, Jupiter Scope. I'm still wondering what number 4 is. I'm pretty sure it's an abbreviation for G-Force Faggot. While that image is still right up above, isn't Alfredo, game number 9, some kind of cheese? I'm pretty sure you get that on Italian food at those weird restaurants with all the paintings of tomatoes and onions on the walls. There are 2 more full pages of shit titles after this page. Most didn't work, so that saved my sanity, or what sanity I had left after playing Eliminator Boat Duel. Link to a previous review. That incredibly fantastic cat thing from the title screen is called a Cheetah Man. Isn't that the most original name in the world? Seriously, I mean, even I can't be that creative. I would have said something totally boring and generic, like Catman or something. Active Enterprises really got a one-up on me there. This is the only game that I found that worked, and just by looking at the title screen, it'll set your retinas on fire. It's Ooze. By playing for 2 minutes, I understand the storyline perfectly well. You must traverse the terrain of an alien race through their ass, escape from the ass of Bobo the alien before you die. Ooze is about as fun as trying to play a Game Boy when you are a quadruple amputee. The music for Ooze sounds a lot like something you would hear on a Hello Kitty game or something kiddish and girly like that. Actually, you know what? I think playing a Hello Kitty game would be more enjoyable than playing Ooze. 1 hour later, I played Ooze again, and I discovered that when you die, your character's head turns into a pile of green dog shit. Or alien shit. Whatever it is, it's number 2 for sure. That green pickle monster up there hit me with a glowing turd, and look at what happened to my guy. I couldn't get past that area, because your player cannot move and jump at the same time. Your only options are, get crapped on by the pickle poo monster, or fall to death. I did not know that... Okay, Action 52 is very uniquely broken, where like, if you're holding right, and you press jump, your character comes to a stop, jumps, and stops. If you jump, let go of right, stand still, jump, and then press right, you'll move in arc. I couldn't figure it out when I made this review. I didn't know that. Defining moment. Well, clicking on Unload ROM was pretty fun. I found myself turning this on a few more times just so I could shut it off again. Don't play this game. If you do anything with your life, avoid Action 52 at all costs. Having your friends come into your room and see you playing this is more embarrassing than having them walk in on you when you're looking at furry porn. You'll have a shitload more explaining to do as well. Graphics, 2 out of 10. I base my judgment here over the one game I played, and that was Ooze. Those graphics were probably drawn by a hobo claiming to see meteors and penis aliens. Every aspect of Ooze's art was based around trying to make something look as worse as possible on purpose. Sound, 4 out of 10. I'm giving them only a 4 because their title screen music is so awesome it's horrible. As soon as I realized how cool these dudes were trying to act, I immediately realized this was going to be an awesome ride. They straight up stole a song from MC Rob Bass and DJ Easy Rock. Control, 0 out of 10. I mistakenly found out that I was playing Action 52 with a Sega Genesis formatted keyboard script, and it didn't make a damn difference. Maybe this is because no matter what button you press, the game either freezes, or you have to play Ooze. I'd rather pick choice number 3, which is Castration by Rusty Soup Can Lid, but Action 52 only supports dollar store games, not dollar store surgery. Economic depression points, 1 out of 10. At the steep price of 200 Washingtons, this game had the potential to wipe out the nation's economy. Active Enterprises plan to drain the economy and start a new U.S. dictatorship and kill everyone failed because of the overall crappiness of their Nazi game cartridge. The only reason this field did not get a 0 is because, you know, somewhere in some toy store, a 3-year-old was kicking and screaming that he wanted a copy of this game. Nice try, Active Enterprises. Next time, don't make a piece of shit and sell it for $200. I wrote that 20 years ago. Making jokes about furry porn 20 years ago in 2004. Really, we were blazing trails on RFSHQ. We were like ahead of the game, ahead of the fucking curve. So, Action 52 begat a sequel of sorts. Cheetah Men 2, the prototype. And that's this next review from July 5th, 2004. Cheetah Men 2. No fucking way. That's all I could say when I saw this. With the success of Action 52, Active Enterprise decided it would be an excellent idea to make a sequel to one of the games from their shitty multi-cart. I've heard of better ideas in the past, such as putting metal objects in the plug outlets. Making a sequel to Action 52 is not on that list. I honestly hate Active Enterprises after playing this game. It's beyond horrible. If you take everything bad about every single game in Action 52, put it in a blender with some dog shit and hit puree, this is what comes out. Everything about this game is just a train wreck of horrible graphics, broken controls, impossible enemies, and nasty music. It is an orgy of bad sound effects. On the other hand, I actually admire Active Enterprise's work. It's clear that they are trying to piss everyone off with their crap, and they are still doing far beyond an exceptional job of it all. I seriously question the intelligence of the developers. Look at the screenshot above. What's wrong with it? They can't spell the main character's name right. For the record, I did not edit this image in any way. This is the only typo in the whole game that I have seen, and it just so happens to be on their character's name. This error actually made me watch this abysmal story. Not only does their plot suck the big one, but now they can't spell for shit. Maybe if there were more than 2 Active Enterprise developers, they would have been able to afford a spell checker or some form of quality control. I wasn't even reading their intro screens, and I somehow sensed the stupidity and ignorance. It's my 6th sense. I looked for less than a second, and I knew there was something going down. I add to the laughter aimed at Active Enterprise's shortcomings, because these dumb fucks deserve every ounce of it. Among the many enemies you will encounter, or rather, get your ass kicked by, is this disembodied suit of armor. If this is not further proof for the authorities to raid the Active Enterprise's HQ for angel dust, maybe these New Kids on the Block albums I found there are. Besides, the suits, eagles, snakes, some trippy-ass ants, a wolf, tornadoes, and some other random incarnations from the Weather Channel will try to attack you, and most likely succeed in sending your cheetah men into a spiraling vortex of unimaginable pain. Most of these guys are too low to hit, so you have to jump over them. The eagles are too high to hit, but you will hit your head if you don't jump, and your legs if you do jump. No matter what, you're screwed. You can't jump and shoot at the same time, you can't duck, you can only mindlessly hop around and die in like 6 hits, which come very fast. Not only are these graphics the bastardized love child of MS Paint and a meth addict, they are also so damn bright, you lose track of where you are and end up letting eagles and ants pelt you to death. Again, excellent use of IQ on Active Enterprise's part. Here we have what looks like a cross between an iguana and a human, but with the mentality of a rock. I have no clue what this is supposed to be, but this is Active Enterprise we're talking about here, so never mind. Shooting arrows pisses it off and makes the bulky thing run warp speed, where he then subsequently kills you, only in Cheetah Men land. I can only guess that thing must have escaped from the head of one of the programmers. It was added into the game because it was crap. Crap belongs in this game, just like crap and roaches belong at KFC. It's amazing that every aspect of this game sucks so badly. Usually there is something in each game I review that I like even the least bit, whether it be music, a character, or even an item or something. This game, this hideous thing has nothing. It has MS Paint graphics and annoying music. The music is so horrible that it will turn your testicles into ovaries. Defining moment. You got me on this one. There is not one thing anyone could possibly enjoy about this game. There is no game over music or screen. There are no good-looking graphics. There is no music that does not make your head pulsate and ache like horrible Kids Bop music. There aren't even good controls for the game. This game has done it. It's worse than Action 52. Graphics, 0. This game looks kind of like Super Mario Bros., but with an incredibly simplified set of colors and patterns. Every aspect of the graphics are horrible. Some of the enemies look out of place like they were coded by an entirely different person or stolen from another game. Sound, 0. Imagine the worst elevator music you have ever heard. Now digitize it and add in one monotonous drum loop. This is what you'll have to put up with the whole time you play this thing. Once you hear this music, it's too late. You cannot be saved. You're one of them now. Control, 0. The controls for the game are non-existent. You can't jump over half the enemies you see. You can't shoot low guys. You can't duck. You can't jump and shoot. All you can do is move left and right and shoot some lame-ass arrows and do a few jumps. That's it. Your arrows miss constantly, and because you can't jump and shoot, eagles and just about everything else will kill you. Ninja Turtles rip-off points, 10 points. Anthropomorphic animals that have ninja weapons and spout random catchphrases. Gee, where have I seen that formula before? That's it's Cheetahman. You seem to that one. This was like, I'm trying to read this. Like, I don't really like Cheetahman 2. That was, so I'm looking at the thing. Action 52 was June 5th, 2004. Cheetahman 2 was July 5th, 2004. When was the first episode of the Angry Video Game Nerd? May 25th, 2004. So, the Castlevania 2 episode of AVGN was posted 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks, before my review of Action 52. And some of the stuff I say in the reviews, like the hyperbole, like, it'll turn your testicles into ovaries. That sounds like a nerd thing, but his body of work did not exist when this was written. This is just me being outrageous for the sake of it, saying the stupidest things I could think of. So it's not like I was copying the nerd. It's just like, because he wasn't around to copy. This is a game, we've actually played this game on Gatorbox before. Totally forgot about it because I wrote a review about it 18 years ago. It's Thexter for the Famicom. And this review is from June 30th, 2006. Game Arts is a virtually unknown company in the realm of the NES. If this game is any indication, then I'm pretty sure why no one has heard of them. Thexter, while not only hard to pronounce, is hard to play. So hard, in fact, that you could probably do better with your eyes closed, or even just not playing it at all. Thexter is like the Transformer that everyone didn't like because he sucked ass. Your character, a robot called Thexter, starts the game out as a jet flying down a tunnel. Once you get into the playfield, however, you can transform into a walking robot that is an easy target for all the incredibly small and fast enemies this game has to offer. Originally, I came face to face with this monstrosity under the name Chex Dex on some pirated cartridge, but now it's mono-e-mono. And come to think of it, I think we played Thexter on one of those bootleg multi-cart plug-and-play things, and I genuinely think I looked at the title screen and thought it said Chexter or something, and you guys had to look it up and tell me about, like, apparently I've played this game before, and my brain erased all traces of it. Because I looked at this review, I'm like, oh shit, that's that game. The robot Chexter. At any given time, there are no less than 20 various enemies that crawl around, fly around, crawl and fly, shoot at you, or do all the following and still be in your wireless calling plan. Trying to shoot these enemies as Robot Thexter proves ineffective, since the geniuses who created this game decided to make your bullets lock onto your target, and when there's about 40 of them chasing you, it's really not helpful when your bullets start taking out the dumbasses in the back, or just shoot wildly in all directions except in front of you. On top of crappy shooting controls, the game also has embarrassingly bad, controls. Walking around as Thexter is useless. Your best bet is flight, since your player is about 1/3 his normal size and a lot faster. The only problem is that maneuvering is sluggish, and if you try to pull a 180, you convert back into that cheap robot. If it wasn't bad enough, there are a series of thin mazes you can only navigate as the jet, and since you need tight controls, the game decides it would be best to turn you into the robot at the most inopportune times, and gets you jammed in the wall where you can either shoot bullets everywhere, or try to get out as the jet. If you manage to get out of the maze, you'll be greeted with about 30 more of those little flying bastards that don't do anything but hit you, and are impossible to shoot since your gun operator never passed first grade. The entire time you're trying to do this, though, you'll have some really great suspenseful music playing, and by suspenseful, I mean something that sounds like an Atari with someone trying to get a VCR to eat a tape. When the inevitable happens and one of the many twirly enemies smashes your robot, you die and the music hangs on whatever note it was on, while game over text takes about a minute to decide to appear on the screen along with your final score, which won't be higher than 7, probably. You'll get to enjoy this hanging note until you either press buttons until you get back to the title screen, or just give up and find something else better to do with your time. Defining moment. I'd have to say I was pretty happy when I managed to get out of that damn maze I was stuck in for about 10 minutes. Can't say I was too enthused about the onslaught of randomly appearing spinning boxes that proceeded to beat the holy hell out of Thexter, though. Graphics. 1. Like the launch of Pokemon in the United States, everything is either blue or red or some shade of the two. The game is straightforward. Walls, enemies, you. The least they could have done is to do something like not making the enemies look like random projectiles you may or may not have shot out from your ass to your robot, though. And in space, I really don't think you're going to be encountering spinning boxes and diamonds with cages around them. If you've seen the movie The Lawnmower Man, you'd know shit like that doesn't work. Sound, 0. If this game had more than 3 notes, maybe I would have given it a 1. The fact that there is only one track which loops after 5 seconds, and then it hangs when you die or pause the game, and might be known to cause brain cancer from prolonged exposure, this is a run-on sentence, isn't it? Screw it. The music and sound effects, or lack thereof, blow. Control. 0. One thing that would have made this game better is the ability to turn around in flight instead of reverting back to Crapotron. Okay, 2 things that would have made this game better. Make your bullets hit something besides the floor or the enemy in the very back of the wave. Alright. 3 things that would have made this game better. Just forget about it altogether. Just have Game Art staff wake up one morning and decide to go work for a gas station. Transformer points. 7 out of 10. Thexter seems to be a crappy attempt to cash in on the Transformers fad of the 1980s. The main character does just that, although rather unoriginally, and I'm pretty sure Optimus Prime had better things to do than solve mazes and screw around with nondescript enemies in some world that doesn't even have a backstory. Thexter, that's Thexter from 2006. You guys know about Thexter. I don't think we've played this game on stream, but I do own a copy. I own a copy of this game. Leatherface might be interested in this one. This is another game review. We've moved past the generic articles, the general ones. Now we're doing games. You know, this is a review of Bigfoot for the NES from May 9th, 2007, the 3-year anniversary of RFSHQ. Bigfoot. The monster truck, not the monster. I own a copy of this game, and it is autographed by Bob Chandler, the man, the myth, the absolute legend that built Bigfoot. Got a copy of this game signed by the guy. Once I get it back, I'm going to have it put in a case and protected, because that's like... It's like the one game in my collection I really don't want anything bad to happen to, because it's really cool. Okay, so this is yes, constant mashing of the buttons to go forwards. Oh, I get into that. In the late 80s and early 90s, monster trucks were literally the most awesome thing on the planet. The only thing more awesome than a monster truck would be a monster truck with dinosaurs on it. Fortunately, we had a fair compromise. A truck named after a mythical woodland beast. There's nothing more southern than a monster truck, though. Just the idea behind it is enough to get Jeff Foxworthy hard. Get a truck and put the biggest wheels you can find on it, then run it over some cars. Preferably the ones parked in your front yard that don't have any wheels on them. The NES was also incredibly popular in the late 80s and early 90s, so you can see where this is going. Somewhere along the line, someone got the wise idea to make a game about monster trucks featuring Bigfoot, the king of the monster trucks. This would be fine and dandy if it weren't for the fact that Bigfoot is one of the worst abominations to be given the title video game. Bigfoot takes everything awesome about monster trucks and strips it away to nothing more than a shitty button masher with impossible AI. The first thing you're going to notice is Bigfoot has the worst theme song out of any video game ever made in the last 30 years. Monster trucks need some kind of rock and roll or something. Anything is better than the digitized hillbilly shit that plays from start to finish. The tunes and cuts that play before and after the races are just as horrid and are guaranteed to make your ears bleed and likely induce an aneurysm. The object of the game is to literally get from point A to point B. You must go cross-country, East Coast to West Coast, smashing everything in your way and participating in various monster truck-inspired events. There are two kinds of races. The first race is a side-scrolling event where you crush cars, go through mud, climb hills, or participate in a tractor pull. It's a nice idea and the graphics look decent until you press the A button expecting your truck to move. The A button is not the gas. Left is the gas. So is right. Yes, you heard me. In order to get your truck to move, you must press left and right constantly. The faster you press them, the more it revs the engine. Not only is this form of control incredibly stupid, it also gets tiring extremely fast. Worst of all, these event races are best 2 out of 3, and the CPU truck is bound to beat you at least once, making you do all 3 races. Screwing around during these races will end up breaking your truck, which costs money to fix. If you rev the engine too hard or too fast, you'll blow 1 bar of life from it. If you bounce off of cars erratically, you'll damage your shocks. And if you're gassing the engine and you try to shift gears, you'll strip the gearbox. And finally, I have yet to figure out why, but your tires will randomly go flat. All of this costs money to fix, and since the CPU will most likely kick your ass in the races, he will get the prize money, and you won't be able to afford repairs and parts. Because of this, the CPU can afford to tear ass through the race and blow as much shit as it wants, and fix the truck to perfect status afterwards. The second kind of race is a bird's eye view race through the countryside, which has become littered with flags, parked cars, broken piers, and trees. Somehow crashing into the wall at full speed will not damage your truck, but landing in the trees will cause it to violently shatter into a million pieces and subsequently cost you $500 to continue racing. If you can't afford the cost, you're out. This is the only surefire way to beat the CPU. Since it blows money rather quickly, you can smash them into the trees and get them disqualified, letting you pick up all the money items and complete the race in first place. Speaking of items, there are a number of them thrown randomly around the race. There's a suspension item that looks like fish bones, which causes your truck to jump. This is ineffective, since trying to jump over trees and obstacles will just force you to land in them. There are nitro boosts that really seem to have no effect, as the screen will only scroll if you and the CPU are somewhere in the middle of it. Alongside these items is a giant saw blade that will pop out from the front of your truck that you can use to damage your opponent. Normally this is useless because the trucks have a stupidly high amount of health and will run away from the saw blade, usually hiding behind you where it's impossible to hit them. To protect you from the CPU's blade, there's an invincibility item that doesn't have an icon. It's just a gray box with 4 dots in it. It hardly lasts long enough to outlast the saw blade, and it doesn't protect you from trees. There are also wrench icons that refill your health, but normally these are placed in between clumps of trees, so trying to get them is stupid, and you will be killed. Oh, we played Bigfoot Collision Course, Leatherface. I think it's on the YouTube channel. It's an old one. My brother co-hosted it. To move around on this race, you use the D-pad. You can move side to side, but when it comes to going forward and braking to avoid crap, there's no use. The screen will scroll at intermittent speeds depending on the location of the trucks. If the CPU is at the top of the screen and you're right behind it, the screen scrolls like you're using Nitro Boost. However, if you're further behind, the screen will move slow as hell and may even change speeds, which will cause you to end up in the goddamn trees or miss a money item. If you get the CPU truck to go bankrupt during this race, It will display as game over and you can finish the race solo and take as long as you like. Without a second truck, the game screws up the scrolling though, so the closer you get to the top, the faster it goes, but at the same time it pushes you back on the screen, causing it to also slow down. Killing off trucks will bring in newcomers with a default cash threshold of $5,000. None of your opponent trucks have license names, and instead are stupid things like the Growler, the Crusher, the Charger, and the Terminator. They are all solid color trucks, and there's no noticeable difference between them. By the time you successfully disqualify one truck, you will have enough money to complete the rest of the game if you don't screw it up too badly. In fact, once you get enough money, you can purposefully throw event races and still win. I lost the championship to Terminator, but because I had 50 grand in points and over $20,000, the game did not care and still gave the title to me. The end of the game is aggravating and is not worth the amount of blood, sweat, and tears you will put into this game. The end of the game is just a stereotypical cowboy posing next to the Bigfoot with its 10-foot-tall tires, all the while the horrible theme song plays again. No credits, no unlockables, no cutscenes, just a crappy still image and an even worse theme song. Fuck you, Bigfoot. Fuck you. A little bit more. Got the summary to go by. Overall, this game is just an absolute piece of trash. Bigfoot had the potential to kick serious amounts of ass, and Acclaim could not have hit any farther from the bullseye without coming closer on the opposite side. It's a perfect failure, a mishmash of the absolute worst, horrid sounds, redneck porn music, bland visuals and color palettes that rival those of schools in the 1960s, and game controls that would piss off even the most determined Monster Truck fan. Defining moment. The theme song of the game. It sets the tone for the horrible torture you're about to endure if you do not heed its warning. Graphics. 5. At least the trucks look like trucks, and the graphics for the side-to-side races are not that bad. During these races, when your truck takes damage in-game, there will be visible changes to the truck on the screen. Tires will shrink, smoke will come up from the engine, and other effects such as wheelies and bouncing from crushed cars make for a nice show. Unfortunately, the bird's eye view races are extremely unattractive, and barely anything looks the way it should. Sound. 0. I can say that Bigfoot single-handedly takes the cake for worst NES soundtrack ever. The theme song is some disgusting mix of country and what I can only assume is redneck hillbilly music, and the other assortment of jingles and fanfares are not much of an improvement. You will want to kill yourself after hearing this soundtrack. I keep talking about the soundtrack. Can I find like a YouTube upload of the sound? I fucking hate this song, man. It just goes on. Like, it's not done. It doesn't loop. It sounds like it does, but it just plays the opening bars again, and then it goes into some other shit. Like, it just goes off. It just goes on. That's all it does. Okay, there's the thing I saw. Okay, from a YouTube channel called Nostalgia Bubble. There's an upload called Bigfoot Title Screen Music Remix. It's like dying. It's they can barely play it. Is this a live guitar? What is this? Okay, you know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of the fucking the song from Titanic, the My Heart Will Go On, the cover the guy did with the flute, the recorder that sounds like shit. That's what that sounds like. I mean, I can't play a guitar, but I feel like if I could play a guitar and that was as good as I was, I wouldn't post the video. I'm just saying. I'm going to send that to my brother after this stream. Alright, we got a couple more things here. Control, -infinity out of 10. I honestly don't know what the fuck they were thinking when they thought pressing left and right would be a good idea for a game. It's tiring, hard, and frustrating to do on an NES controller, and joystick users may as well just give up. The top-down view races are pretty much auto-scrolling. Turning, accelerating, and braking are all nearly impossible, and you may as well just set the controller down and let the CPU finish the race for you. Mullet points. 10 out of 10. Nothing says redneck more than a Monster Truck video game, complete with horrid music to match. If you've ever played Bigfoot for the NES, you might be a redneck. I think I'm going to hang myself now. Alright. This one, though, this is a game near and dear to my heart. And Gatorbox fans, you guys know this. This is a game that almost became lost media. Roastmaster and I spearheaded a comprehensive search for a copy of this game so we could archive it and put it on the Internet Archive. When we came back from Hurricane Harvey, like when the stream resumed in 2018, this was our comeback game as our victory lap of successfully recovering this game and saving it. I am talking about fucking NanoQuest. NanoQuest had a review on RFSHQ. That's how old the game is. From August 7th, 2007. This is NanoQuest. Games created for educational purposes are a common occurrence and a cheap ploy to get students to learn the school's curriculum. Games that revolve around adding, subtracting, reading, and other basic school principles are frequently put into production, but NanoQuest stands out as a game that attempts to teach players a little bit about nanotechnology and other scientific fields of study. NanoQuest is thinly veiled under the selling point of aimed at the PlayStation generation, which is believable because the game looks and plays like an unlicensed and rejected PS1 title. As you are introduced into the world of NanoQuest, Ireland, you are greeted by Professor Darcy, who apparently loves to help mankind, but hates pudding at the same time. Joining her are our two completely inept heroes, Jack and Orla, one of whom is thrilled to be using the atomic force microscope, and the other whose facial expressions hint that they couldn't give a shit either way. After some dialogue about the quantum shrinking device, you can choose your player, who opts to stay behind when Professor Darcy orders coffee. Just like in every science fiction movie ever, your character is a complete idiot and ignores everything the professor has said about the shrinking machine and walks into the chamber to have a look around. Your character is oblivious to the fact that the antagonist, Dr. Georgian O'Kelly, who tortures small animals, has other plans which involve taking digital pictures of papers and locking you in the shrinking chamber and subsequently shrinking you down to nano size, which I can only assume is the new increment in French fry size on the McDonald's menu. Nobody seems to mention why Dr. O'Kelly wants to shrink things, possibly to compensate for something, but other than that, no evidence or plot is provided. O'Kelly either really fucking hates you, or you just happen to be at the wrong place at the wrong time when O'Kelly planned on dicking around with a quantum scaling machine. Either way, once your character enters the realm of shitty Windows desktops, you are greeted by the nano world. It's just like the real world, except, as this game's tagline mentions, really small. In today's PlayStation generation, obviously the first thing to do when shrunk is use your cell phone to call your friends and take pictures for them to put on MySpace, which is exactly what happens. The cinematics end once you enter this new world full of rainbow colors and hamster balls intent on killing you, and you're finally given control of your player. Your mission is to collect pieces to build a nano car and send them to your partner so he can build it for you. I'm beginning to assume that nano is the new cool internet prefix like I and E. If the game wasn't already unfolding to be a monstrous piece of edu crap, it will be the second you try to move. Instead of keeping up with the animation, your character simply glides along and gradually builds up speed. Trying to jump from platform to platform will prove difficult, as you can perform two jumps. A crappy short jump that essentially moves you nowhere, or an exact duplicate of the $6 million man jump that will send you hurtling through Nano World. If for some reason you decide to fall off the level, you won't die, you just get 30 seconds added onto your total time as a penalty. That's right, you can't kill yourself, even if you tried. Throughout the entire game, you're plagued by techno music loops that resemble remixes of music you hear in department stores. Once you get your buckyballs and nano wires, the level is over and you get to play as the other character in the educational part of the game, walking through the laboratory, passing up a plethora of stupid nano facts, and even an entire museum full of, you guessed it, more nano facts. When you get to the lab, you enter the next level, which lays out everything onto the atomic force microscope. I don't know how accurate this game is, but since it's educational, I'm hoping for the best. According to NanoQuest, the atomic microscope is made up of entirely the same hexagonal crap as the nanoworld environment, but the needle that moves parts around is a giant transparent pyramid, which ends up getting in your line of sight. Once the car parts have been pushed into their defined places in the pattern, you switch characters again and get to drive the junker you just assembled without any form of propulsion whatsoever. They managed to include a clearly visible safety harness, but no engine. If this game is so educational, how the fuck are you able to drive a car on a flat surface without any force? I suppose those questions are going to be answered in the follow-up hit game, Internal Combustion Engine Quest. It's a loud world. Driving the car is insanely hard, as you will slide all over the place and be chased by more possessed hamster balls. Periodically, trains will drive by and shake the environment. They never mention what a train is, but I can only assume they mean steam engine. And if so, why the hell am I not riding that to the warp zone? Once you race to the finish, you are supposedly out of Nano World and you begin to grow to normal size. However, nobody seems to notice that O'Kelly is still in the room fucking with everything, so he walks up to the 6-way power strip and literally unplugs the shrink machine. A giant chamber capable of changing the physical properties of matter itself is also capable of running off of 110 volts of AC current and can simply be unplugged, effectively trashing your plans of returning to normality. This brings us to the final level, inside the computer, which is now overheating thanks to O'Kelly's fetish for completely shitting on your life. Parts of the supercomputer overheat themselves over and over again, so I can only assume that at the core of this quantum scaling machine lies an Xbox 360. To restore working order, you have to jump around and collect power cubes, cleverly disguised as children's blocks. You'll incur many time penalties thanks to the wonderful jumping physics, and when you finally do make the jumps, you'll be demolished by sliding color bars of death, laser beams, and of course, pathways that resemble penises. Just like that one thing, the biggest small penis you'll ever see. Collecting all the power cubes will fix the computer and let you finally return to your normal size, and also grants your character the ability to be unintentionally seductive. There's the screenshot of the guy like leaning on the door. We say, ladies, with that. I had a picture here at one point, but I lost it. When all's said and done, the cutscene moves to Dr. O'Kelly, who is seen standing in the middle of nowhere surrounded by darkness. A car pulls up and there's a quick exchange of briefcases and handshakes. Yes, some shady crime lord paid Dr. O'Kelly a huge sum of money to unplug one machine while hiding in the corner. It's a small world indeed. We got some summaries to get to. I stopped doing defining moment. Now it's just... I also stopped giving out numerical scores. Now it's just final words. Graphics. Created to please kids who grew up in the era of the PlayStation, Can Do Interactive did a great job completely missing the target and creating what appears to be an environment made entirely out of code from Atari Jaguar diagnostic cartridges. Controls. NanoQuest controls would be great if the game was reworked into Jump Through Fields Quest, but unfortunately it isn't, and the level design demands tight controls, which sadly are just not present. Thanks to a combination of moon gravity and superhuman strength, you will spend a lot of time overshooting your jumps. Music. NanoQuest tries too hard to match the feel of that space-age genre of techno music seen in many space shooter and adventure games. What the developers came up with instead was a choice selection of the most uninspired music ever displayed in a PC video game. Replay value. At one point in time, the developers offered a trip to Paris to the person who could get the highest score possible in NanoQuest, as well as an attempt to phase out the use of the I prefix, iPod Nanos. Irony alert, were given away as prizes too. If you have to offer lavish gifts to get someone to play your game, then you failed at making it fun. And finally, overall. NanoQuest gets credit for attempting to appeal to science teachers, but aside from the museum level, this game has no educational value unless you're supposed to be teaching either patience or how not to design a game. Come to think of it, this entire production is comparable to the demo scene in the commercials for DeVry University's game design class. That's NanoQuest. That review was written 17 years ago, and then we later dug it up a decade later for Gatorbox. Okay, so let me book in that. That is a smattering of some of the better articles from RFSHQ's history. I wrote all this crap. I do have some more here. I didn't read them tonight because it'll just burn up the clock and we'll fuck it up the stream again. But if you guys, I would like to share these because they're still kind of funny. 3 articles of the Nutrisystem Challenge, the weight loss food from 20 years ago. We did the White Overnite Challenge. Well, this is the Nutrisystem Challenge. And then 5 articles covering like 15 energy drinks in the series Energizing Energy Drinks. Reflex, my brother, gives his advice or his insight on a few of them as well. So that's something we can read at a later date. Maybe, you know, give it a month or something. We'll come back and visit this. But I would like to share this stuff with you because a lot of it's not really present. It doesn't really exist online anymore because the archives are down. And, you know, if you go on YouTube and look up RFSHQ, there was nothing there except some videos of, like, Flash games we used to host on the website. There's no trace of this online, so I like to at least put something back up. Thanks for checking out this video by Gatorbox. To see more videos like it, please subscribe to the channel. You can also support this project financially at patreon.com/Gatorbox. You can also follow us at twitch.tv/Gatorbox to catch us live every Friday night at 9 p.m. Central Time for our main show. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.